ChicasMan here with
Lexi Diamond.
Yeah, welcome back to
The Late Night Tea Show.
Coffee.
We got
Hello.
Jay Scott in the building.
So this year is year 1994, where we're going to talk about our favorite Halloween/horror movies that we love from 1994.
True story.
But before we do that, Jay Scott, can you tell us who you are?
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Jay Scott, and I'm a photographer by trade. And I love movies and stuff. And have been watching these guys for a while. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to invite myself to go on. And so here I am.
And we're glad you did.
You just have to ask. That's all you have to do. That's it.
Just ask.
Just ask. It's
Seriously.
pretty easy.
It's not that hard.
Send money. That helps.
Yeah, show a little skin.
Or just shower us with compliments.
Okay.
The plan worked.
You're trapped.
Irene Karen fame. I can't. Sorry. Okay.
So Jay Scott, what's your choice for 1994?
Oh, I chose the Jack Nicholson classic
Wolf.
That's right. Directed by Mike Nichols, oddly enough, who directed Odd Couple and The Birdcage. And this is the first, I think the first and only horror movie he ever did. But the realty is, Michelle Pfeiffer's in it, but they didn't ask her first.
Oh.
No, they didn't ask her first. They asked Mia Farrow, but she was going through the whole drama with Woody Allen and the Asian adopted daughter lady. I don't think of her name. What is it? I want to say Mai Ling, but
Just
I feel like
I
I'll be offended.
I don't know
Offend
what
someone
you're
if I get that wrong. Anyway, yeah, and then they didn't want her, so they were gonna ask Sharon Stone. And Sharon Stone said no, and so Michelle Pfeiffer got it, and this is hot off Batman Returns that she did 2 years ago. So that's the real tea. You're welcome.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's basically like a remake of The Wolfman. It's like a loose, he's like a publisher, and then he gets bit while he's driving home, and then Jack Nicholson, that's who we're talking about, sorry. Just random guy. Random guy gets bit on the way home, and he thinks it's a dog, and then he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, no, it's not a dog. Or it is a dog, and he was like, no, it's not. Either way. Then he starts getting heightened senses, he can smell things and see things and hear people's heartbeats, and he's freaking out. Anyway, one night he turns into a werewolf and kills a deer and wakes up the next morning next to the river, like you do,
Classic.
when you're a werewolf. Wakes up and doesn't know what happened, and then he goes back to work, and then they kind of push him out of his job, and that's where James Spader comes in. Oh yeah, James Spader's in this movie as well. Oh yeah. And I think he did it the same year he did Stargate. I don't know if you saw Stargate, which is one of my favorite movies, actually, of all time.
I have not seen that one.
And then after that, he just dropped off the face of the earth. Just gone. After that, done.
Goodbye.
Anyway, he's pushing Jack Nicholson out of his job to take over, and Jack Nicholson's not having it. And for something happens, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but he bites him on the hand. Jack Nicholson bites James Spader on the hand.
Hot.
Like you do. Next to choking. And then somebody gets murdered. I feel like I'm talking way too long. Then somebody gets murdered, and then he thinks he did it, and he's not really sure if he did it or not. And then things happen, and then Michelle Pfeiffer gets involved, and then she's the daughter of the guy who owns the publishing company, and they kind of fall in love and have a thing, and then they do a little. And then I can't spoil the ending.
Okay,
You have to see the ending, because there's a whole. I will just say there's a whole big fight scene with a lot of jumping, a lot of 80s weird saxophone. There's a whole saxophone section in this whole dramatic when they're fighting music. I'm not sure how it works. And then they do the whole thing where, like in The Wolfman, if you guys, I'm a huge nerd of classic horror movies, Universal, literally all I watch in Halloween, or the month of October. They do the thing where they show the hand, and it is all furry, and then it goes back to, normal. They do that kind of stuff. So you can tell it's kind of trying to be homage to that, but not at the same time. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
Ew.
So anyway, Wolf, 1994. Look it up. They jump around a lot. It's kind of fun. I feel like Jack Nicholson, and it tries to be funny, kind of too, in some weird ways, which I don't really know why, but it does. Do you guys have any questions?
Bounty spoilers.
You know, jumping around.
No,
and stuff.
seriously, no spoilers. Yeah.
Right. Watch the trailer. They do a lot of things in it.
I can't say.
Good makeup.
We probably do. We're probably gonna say spoilers. But we,
Okay, spoilers.
click out now if you want to.
Yeah, I'll give you a second. Okay, you asked for it.
Okay.
He bites James Spader, seeing James Spader becomes a werewolf, you see, and kills the person, tries to frame him for it, you see, and then there's a big fight between them two at the end, where James Spader actually tries to rape Michelle Pfeiffer, which is a little weird, but then, you know, he breaks down, and they fight each other, and it's all, you know, he dies and gets shot like 8 times. But there's a part, literally, this is the best part, is when James Spader jumps, right, and you can tell he's attached to like a crane or something, and it literally just goes, where he's supposed to be like, you know, it's great. I love it. Super cheesy.
Oh
Anyway,
Nice.
yeah. So there's your spoiler. I like that.
Our movie was Interview with a Vampire.
With the Vampire.
With the Vampire. With the Vampire.
Vampire Diaries, or right?
Yeah.
Chronicles.
Oh, Chronicles of the Vampires. Yeah. Yeah.
Chronicles.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So who do we have there, Lexi?
We have actually a really star-studded cast because we have Kirsten Dunst when she was like a little girl. We have Brad Pitt. We have Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, Daddy.
Throw some Latin flair in there.
Oh,
throw some Latin flair
he
in
looks
there.
so good with long hair too.
And if you read the book and actually knew what Armand looks like in the book, looks nothing like him at all.
Really?
Oh yeah, he looks like he's a 12-year-old redhead, curly-haired redhead, like a little 12-year-old.
Like the boy that they're feeding off of in the movie, basically.
That's what he looks like. Yes, that's what he technically looks like in the book.
Spoiler!
And there's a whole book called Armand too about him.
Oh my god.
Like I
So-
said.
okay, so you seem to be familiar with like the whole storyline. So like, how many books does this have?
I think Jay's gonna take
How
over
many
the show,
totals,
and
like-
that's okay.
How many total books? Like, I think like 10 or 12.
Wow.
But then extended like 5 more. So then there's like little novellas that she made of like different little
Like
characters.
spin-off kind of.
Yeah, there's
books?
one about violin. One of the characters, Marius. There's one about him. Whole book about him. But you learn about him in Vampire Lestat, which is the second book after this. But just talk about the movie. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I can literally talk about this all day.
Okay, so we have Brad Pitt, who unfortunately lost his wife, and I'm just gonna describe the movie. So if I'm off the book, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's a lot. Of yeah. No, it's.
I'm sure
There's
it's
a lot
not-
of editing.
I'm sure it doesn't follow the book.
They kept a lot actually
Okay.
in the book.
Okay, cool.
Or in the
That's-
movie
that's
that they
fun to
had in
know.
the book, but yeah.
Well, Brad
Other-
Pitt, Lewis, loses his wife,
Louis.
or Louis.
Louis.
Louis, I
Louis.
mean,
Louis,
he's
Louis.
Creole. He's got French
Louis.
background.
Yeah, it's
Louis.
it's the French
Yeah.
way of saying Louis.
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 Beggar.
Hey, Louis.
So he loses his wife and his child at birth, and goes into a deep depression and doesn't want to be alive. And that's when Tom Cruise comes in and takes him under his wing, turns him into a vampire. Yeah.
Oh, wrong movie.
Da-da.
My bad. I get them mixed up sometimes.
I don't know if I like him as a blonde. He looks kind of weird as a blonde.
Does he? I thought he looked great.
I don't know. I guess
It
I'm
did
just
look
not-
like a wig. None of them did, which I
Yeah.
really was impressed with. But I don't think Brad Pitt's, I think, was real. I think. But then
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's wasn't.
No, that definitely looked like real hard.
Nice wig, though.
Yeah, cute.
It's cute. It's
Sorry,
cute.
continue.
Go on.
So he's lonely, depressed, wants to die. Tom Cruise takes him under his wing. But he doesn't want to kill humans.
Who doesn't?
Brad Pitt.
Oh, Louis.
Louis. And Tom Cruise is all like, you need to man up, bro.
You need to man up, bro.
Eventually, you're gonna start killing people. You better start now, you know. So he's like on the rat diet, chicken diet, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
From what Tom Cruise, what's his name? Altar or
Who?
Tom Cruise's character.
Lestat.
Lestat.
It's like, you know,
Le
the major character. No worries. It's fine. It's really all about him. It's fine. It's good. It's fine.
Eventually, they.
Oh, you didn't explain how the movie starts. There's a reason it's called
So
that.
there's this journalist or reporter that interviews Brad Pitt, and this is
Because Brad Pitt tells him that he's a real vampire.
because
And
Brad
he's
Pitt
like,
tells
what?
him,
No.
and then he like speeds to the chair. He's like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And he freaks out. He's like, "You really are a vampire." And then that's when he
Is it my
starts.
complexion that gives it away? Because he looks dead.
So that's when the story begins. He starts telling the story of how it all started.
It is. True story. Not a true story. Not a true
True
story.
literature.
True literature.
Yeah.
But go on. So then he tells him he has to eat people. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And he's like,
he'd be like, no,
buck up, bitch.
I wasn't ready.
And then he eats a poodle. Remember when he eats
Oh
a
yeah,
poodle?
he eats the poodle, and then I think my favorite scene of the movie is when they meet Kristen.
Kirsten Dunst.
What's her name? Claudia.
Claudia. Yes,
Claudia.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, when they meet her and they find her mom.
And why, what was happening at that time?
The plague.
So everybody was dead.
Yeah, everybody's dying, and then Tom Cruise starts dancing with her dead mom.
Which is clearly a dummy. I
Which
don't know if
could
you
be
can
a
tell.
dummy, but it's still one of
Like,
my
if you
favorite
could tell,
scenes. Maybe
it's
I like
clearly
cheesy.
a dummy.
Maybe that's
That was
my
funny,
aesthetic,
though.
cheesy, but that was my favorite scene. I thought it was funny.
It's
It's disturbing. but
It's
it was
so
funny.
dumb. She's like, I was like, you can clearly tell it's a dummy. It's fine. It's fine.
So then Tom Cruise decides to turn Claudia into a vampire, but he bites her and then lets Brad Pitt decide because he doesn't want to kill any humans. So he doesn't kill her. So then he turns her into a vampire.
Right. And what do you notice about the thing that happens when you get turned into a vampire? Which is kind of awesome.
You look fancy.
Yeah, like everything grows back like it's new.
Yeah,
Like
she
it's-
got little curls.
she got a little curl. Like everything grew back like it was normal.
Mhm.
Which I thought was kind of awesome.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
She's all pretty.
They also
Oh my God.
don't they like die too and then like
Yeah.
come back?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Technically they die and then come back, yeah. Because Brad Pitt's character dies. And then comes back, remember? He goes, this is the last sunset you're going to see. And he kills him. Sorry, I've read all the books.
Well, she was only 12 years old when she did this, and actually her parents didn't even let her watch the movie
Oh, really? Wow.
because they thought it was too scary for her.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
Yeah, her
She's
mom's
a
a bitch.
bitch.
I've heard things about her mom. She's a bitch.
No, I was talking about the character as a
Oh.
bitch.
oh, this is gonna end up. Oh no.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of hate for that.
Kirsten Dunst.
No, her
true.
character was a diva.
She's a fucking cunt. Like,
Yeah.
she's a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. She's worse in the book. You're just like, what?
She's like, I'm gonna kill you because I'm bored with you.
Right.
Pretty much, actually, yeah, you're right. That's what ends up happening. So she gets turned into a vampire, and all these years pass, and she's finally tired of Tom Cruise's shit. It's like, I don't want to be dressed as a doll. You know,
Because she doesn't what?
Because she doesn't. Lex?
She doesn't.
She doesn't do me? What?
She doesn't age. So she
Oh,
doesn't
she's
age.
yeah.
Right, and so she's annoyed because she doesn't age.
Yeah.
And she's always going to be this little girl. And she's annoyed that people think that she's always going to be this little girl. And she's always got to play dress up and blah, 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 blah. That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. No, that's good. That's good, because I didn't know that.
Sorry.
I just saw her get bitchy, and
Oh, she's a cunt.
eventually, spoiler alert, you can click out again if you want.
Spoiler alert, yes.
She takes out Tom Cruise, or so we think.
And how'd she do it? She fucking cuts his neck.
Oh yeah, that was great visuals, by the way. Like it's just blood everywhere.
Do they talk about in the movie like how, like where he go, like where they put his body?
Yes,
In the swamp.
Okay.
They go to the swamp.
They dump it in the swamp. Ooh, here's a trivia thing. If you're playing at home, what is the one thing vampires cannot do when they're killing their victims? I'll give you 10 seconds.
Okay, yeah, hold on, give us more time though, because I'm trying to guess.
Just watch the
I know, we just watched the movie. Short term.
movie. Okay.
Okay, Okay, something you
guess?
can't do to
So-
your victims.
Right. So he explains to him like when you're killing your victims, you can't do one thing. Do you remember? Like literally, I haven't read these books in like years, and I'm just remembering like all.
Eat
this
their
stuff.
blood?
Rape them?
No, you can't kill. You can't kill them before they can't suck their blood before they're dead. Like you have to let them die. Does that make sense? Because they're saying like if you suck the dead person's blood, it will kill you.
Oh, yeah,
And that's
and
technically how they kill him.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Because she
tricked
feeds
him.
on a
Yep.
dead person, and he's all.
She tricked him. She tricked.
Yes, I do.
She tricked. Yeah,
No, I
you
do.
were right there.
'Cause you know what? That makes so much sense because I was watching the
Yeah.
movie. I had to have him put the subtitles on because for some reason I couldn't understand what was going on.
She poisoned him.
Yeah, and I was like, why? I'm like, why is he like freaking out? He just drank the blood from the little boy. Like, what's the problem? And she's like, I'm like, what just happened? Like,
Right. And see, and then they talk about that. He says, I think to Louis at some point, don't drink their blood after they're dead because it'll kill you. Blah blah blah.
He
Did you
does,
know-
he does explain that in the movie.
random other trivia. That's actually how you get mad cow disease. Cows get mad cow disease because they eat dead cow.
What?
Yeah. That's so it's like a true thing. Like it's
Cows
super-
eat dead cows?
No, the cows not intentionally. Farmers did that, and that's why we get
Oh,
people
they
are
were feeding
horrible.
the cows.
Yeah, people are horrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't
shooting
want to.
star.
They didn't want to. They didn't want to invest into more food, so they're like, we're just gonna grind up these sick old dead cows and
Oh
just
my
feed
god!
them back to the cows.
And
Yeah,
that's how mad cow disease happens?
yeah.
Wow.
That's fucked up.
That's why it's also one of the obviously other than morality. That's one of the biggest reasons why it's illegal for cannibalism to happen because it happens in humans too.
Oh, because people can get...
People can get really sick and die, and it's incurable.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah, work that into their Anne Rice and your little stories. You already did, so you're smart.
So then we have Brad Pitt and Kristen Dunst pretty much free from this Tom Cruise character.
Because they're, like, Louis, you think the whole time's kind of a good person. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to be portrayed as, like, a good person. Like, I don't want to kill people. You know, and Claudia's like, fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
12-year-old bitch ass. She's like, just kill them all.
At that point, though, how old is she though? She's a few hundred years old at that point, right?
No, because it only goes. He only talks about like. Well, at the whole story, roughly like 20 years, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, and then it jumps like years and years and years.
So after they allegedly killed this Tom Cruise character, they travel the world searching for more vampires. Which they can't find, so eventually when they give up, the vampires find them.
yeah.
And that's
In what city?
Paris.
Yes.
I'm
I do
telling you.
remember. Yep.
I'm telling everybody watching this and you too, read the books because you will get so sucked in. I'm not even kidding you. Like I read, like you will get sucked in. There's so much history and so much like a whole world, and you'll. Lestat is a fucking cunt too. He's a fucking cunt. Like you.
Who? The guy who?
Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
His character. He's a fucking cunt. Like he's the worst. Like he's like an anti-hero. Does that make sense? Like he is the worst person in the whole wide world. But yet he kind of sometimes does good stuff, and you're supposed to be like, oh, he's such a. No, he's the worst. He's the worst. Anyway, so they go to Paris, and they go.
And then they find Armand. Or what is it?
Armand.
Armand.
With the thick.
Well,
Spanish
actually, he
accent.
finds them. And
Played by
Antonio Banderas.
Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
And he introduces them to the theater of vampires.
Which I'm still confused about. Like,
They act as vampires for humans.
Yeah, their whole shtick was that they basically did what they do. So like
Yeah.
the girl in the middle was a human, and they
And they
kill her.
actually kill
Yeah, they
her.
actually kill her. But it's supposed to be like a big theater thing, so nobody questions it and nobody says anything because
Yeah.
they just think it's theater, and they go, "Oh my god, it's great, it's theater," even though the bitch is dead. Bitch got killed.
I'm like, if I would have been there, I'm like, this is not fun. What is going on? Like, it's creepy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they were into that stuff back then. They were, yeah.
Anywho,
So that's the whole thing. They kill people under the guise of it being theater, and that's how they get away with it. Like for years and years and years, they've done this. Because sidetrack, Interview with the Vampire is about Louis, and then the Vampire Lestat's about Lestat, and then the third one is about how they bring everything together, and like all the characters that they introduced in Vampire Lestat and all that stuff all come together, and they all because the first vampire, who's Queen of the Damned, shows up, and she's all of a sudden awake, and they're all like, "What? She's not supposed to be." And that's how it all kind of ties together, and
So
then
it's
it kind of goes
interview-
from there.
interview-
That's why I'm like, it's a rich history of like characters and stuff. It's so good.
Did I mention we're glad we have Jay Scott here for this year?
Because I was, that was my second year out of high school. I was 20
Ooh.
in 1994. Yeah, do the math, bitch.
Oh my god. Are you a vampire? Because you look great.
Thanks. These are my things. Yeah.
So it turns out they didn't kill Tom Cruise.
I don't see, and that's the part I don't remember is like how he shows up again.
They don't
He
they don't
should-
show up before they kill Claudia. They explain it after.
Oh, he shows up after?
Yeah.
No, that was rough. That whole scene with Claudia was kind of rough.
Yeah, so Claudia gets spoiler alert, sentenced to death
No, she gets
For
burned alive.
Baked in a half shell.
with her
Turtle
newly found mom. That she wanted to be her.
Oh, that's right, because she turned her into a vampire.
Yeah.
Right? Why did she get burned? Why did they burn her? I don't remember.
I'll tell you right now, after these messages. Okay, so the vampires from the theater of vampires find out that Claudia tried to kill her maker, and in the vampire world, that is not cool.
Yeah, that's not
Oh, the vampire code. That's
Yeah, it's the
right. Okay.
vampire code, so you can't
Gotcha.
do that, and that's why they burned her. to
And how'd they do
ashes.
it? It was pretty sick.
So they put him
Yeah,
in
they
a.
stick him in a cell. They stick him in a cellar, basically, where it like at first, like at least me, I wasn't thinking about it. They're like, oh yeah, the beautiful moon, they're trapped. Oh, they're gonna be chained, whatever. And then they wake up to like the sun rising, and I was like, no. And then they're like, they're like all up in a corner, and then it just like it's cheesy, like cut off. We're not gonna see how it happens, and then all of a sudden they're burning and they're burnt, and then they're burnt to a crisp.
They look like ash statues. which I
Yeah,
think
they're
is
just
kinda
like
Yeah, until Louis touches them.
cool. Oh, that's right. and it goes,
Yeah, and then they crumble down.
Oh.
And he lost his shit, may I say.
oh
So
yeah.
he went on this giant rampage and killed all these vampires and like burned down the building.
Very Trojan horse type of way, like waited till everyone was asleep
Like
and
a-
was like burned everyone to death. Started
Troy.
Yeah, right. Trojan
He
horse.
would have been great for that movie.
Yeah.
He was in that movie. At first, I was like, seriously? He's in that movie. Like, what are you? He'd be great for that movie. Tom Cruise would be really good for risky business too. I got that other guy.
Oh gosh, that was cute. That was fun.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Good
what?
one.
Huh? That's not right.
Oh.
Anyway, let me clear something real quick here because I got a gay vibe.
Oh,
Is this
yeah.
a-
Oh, yeah.
is
Oh,
this a- yeah.
oh, yeah.
Can you,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, can you
For
explain
the
that?
homos out there, huge homoerotic subtext through the whole thing. And like they even technically have sex with each other, but they don't really say it. But you get that it's kind of a whole homoerotic, like they love each other and like Armand, like in the book Armand, which is like there's a whole like homosexual like, and he's supposed to look like a 12-year-old boy. So go from there. Yeah, she gets real fucking like weird and deep and like some real like it's the whole thing's very homosexual. So I think that's why a lot of gays like it because it's very homoerotic. And that's kind of
Okay.
you're supposed to get that through the whole. They didn't really play on it as much in the movie,
But
in the
it was
book,
subtly
like the two
there
boys.
though.
Well, like the two
Yeah, that's
boys.
what I was asking because I felt it.
Yeah.
But
Well, like the two boys that are dead sitting on the thing. Like there's a whole thing before that about that being a thing. And
Like they were playing, or they were experimenting.
yeah, kind of like it was. Yeah, it's like a whole. Yeah, it's a whole game.
God, I really want to read these books now. What?
Yeah, okay.
What?
I'll
Oh.
just say I had some dreams after I read some of them. You're disgusting. Anyway, yeah. So I forgot he killed all the theater people except for Armand. He doesn't kill him.
yeah, and then they
because he
well,
comes later. Like
yeah.
he comes later. Oh,
But
I'm
then,
gonna-
but
I'm-
this is
makes me
I'm
wanna
gonna
watch
just
it.
say, like, we should probably upload this full, because this is all some juicy information. We'll be like, this is the full version, and it'll be like 4 hours of us talking about this.
wanted a long fucking video.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I can talk for hours.
I'm just saying. This is good shit.
Yeah,
so
but anyway,
this
so
is
he,
this is when we see Tom Cruise back in the picture, and he's sitting in the chair all
oh, that's right.
deformed
Okay,
and yeah.
because he's in. Okay, and it all takes place in New Orleans. No, San Francisco.
Starts in New York. Well, he.
The story starts when
In
he's
San
telling the
Francisco.
story. It starts in New Orleans.
Right, but then when Tom
Oh.
Cruise shows back up, technically he's in New Orleans. friends, like when they show him in the chair.
Yeah.
And then Louis finds him, and like you know, they pop hundreds of years later, and he finds him in there, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm decrepit. I'm like, I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Exactly.
Lestat's a lot smarter.
The actual interview in San Francisco.
Right.
That's what it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yeah, Lestat's a bitch. He's a huge bitch, and you should read his books.
Why was
and you
he
find out-
dying though? Was he dying because he just stopped feeding, or?
No, he was like regaining his strength and like
Yeah.
his whatever, so he was doing it slowly and like slowly. Well, and then here's the thing. So that's the whole thing that kind of is fucked up about Interview with the Vampire and Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned. Okay, so if you've seen Queen of the Damned, why am I explaining this? You see that he wakes up and he's hearing music, right? So in Vampire Lestat, they talk about when he gets murdered and when he is in the ground, like trying to regain his strength and whatnot, he's hearing music, okay? And he's explaining like how he's hearing this music, and he's like in everybody's mind and like going through the, you know, the whole world and like listening to people's music and learning about culture, like while he's in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, while he's in this coffin, right? So when he gets out of the coffin, he all of a sudden knows music, and he can play music, and he puts this band together, and they kind of explain that in Queen of the Damned, like he's got this band, and he's got the whole world like tricked into thinking he's a real vampire, and then that's when the vampires get really pissed, and they're like, you're not supposed to be telling people about us, so that's why they try and kill him. Remember that whole in Queen of the Damned? Okay, yeah. So so when he's basically in the coffin the whole time, and then in Interview with the Vampire, when Louis finds him, he's had just gotten out of the coffin,
Oh.
and that's why he's still kind of weak.
Are these all the same actors too?
No.
Oh, okay. That's
Totally
why I was
new
like, wait, how
actors.
come I
No.
haven't seen?
Which is stupid.
Because Lestat, if I could get this correctly, Lestat is like this British like actor who looks like he's really hot, like, but it's not the same actor.
No, it's Stuart Townsend. Do you know who Stuart Townsend is? He was. You ever watch Will and Grace? You guys don't want.
I do.
Thank you. Do you remember when Karen had to fire the pastry chef? He's the pastry chef.
I don't remember that actually. No.
I'm like, why do I know so much stuff? Oh my god. Anyway, yeah. So
Encyclopedia.
that's explaining. That's why he's looking decrepit, because he's been in the coffin the whole time.
Okay.
And he's just gotten out, and he was like, Louis knew that he had woken up.
Because he's psychic, and
Right. So technically, you can skip Vampire Lestat and go to the Queen of the Damned, but they explain in the ending of Vampire Lestat, the book, why like he has a band and stuff in Queen of the Damned. So if you watch Queen of the Damned, you're not gonna understand like why he has a band and like why he's a musician.
Yeah,
all
it's
of a
just
sudden.
random.
It's
like,
just completely random. Yeah, so you kind of have to read that to understand how he got there. Yeah, so it's anyway. So continue.
Okay, and
You didn't mention Christian Slater's in this movie, right? Christian Slater.
did I know?
No, he's an interviewer. If you wanted to.
Oh.
It's okay. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's totally why. No, it's fine. It's fine. You can show pictures.
it's fine. It's okay. It's fine, guys. It's fine. It's fine. We're good.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Show
he's
pictures.
he's the interviewer.
Yeah, he's the interviewer, and that's when he was like, and you know who was supposed to play that role? Here's a neat piece of trivia. Do you know who was supposed to play that role? That Christian Slater?
Johnny Depp.
Nope.
It's funny you should say that.
Close.
Because they asked him to play Tom Cruise's character. I keep forgetting his name, but
I don't. It's funny because I would have thought he would have been perfect in that.
Oh, he would have been. Yeah.
I'm sure that's why you said Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Because he was on.
River Phoenix. But River Phoenix died before they started filming it.
Oh.
Remember River Phoenix?
No.
Oh, I had the hots for him when I was little. Look it up. Here's a picture.
Yeah, here's a picture.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. He was a good one. Yeah. He was in all the teen heartthrob
Okay.
that I bought, and my mom would buy them for me because I wanted to get into acting. She didn't know.
And then I'll let Lexi Diamond take it from here.
She's not going to remember.
I don't remember. I just remember Tom Cruise jumping into a convertible.
Right.
Well,
so
what,
no. So
because it skips ahead. So what happens? It kind of like then all of a sudden we have a gap as far as the audience goes. We have a gap, and then because he's explaining the end of the story or whatever, and then the interviewer guy is all like, "I want this," like, and they get super like. It gets weird because he's like, "You want this?" and like starts like, like you want to be my food, and the guy freaks out and like leaves, right? So he gets in a car, he starts playing the cassette, and he's like, "Yes, I got the interview," and then he gets attacked by Lestat, who was like hiding in the back of the car and was like, and all of a sudden like eats him and like rejuvenates. It's like I don't know what fucking night cream he's using, but that shit's great because all of a sudden he's like, ooh, like I'm 23 years old again. Like it's like, it's amazing and creepy, and he's still like he really likes like that old.
Well,
because he just got
out
He
of the grave.
just got I was like he's still wearing his old clothes.
He was still like underground. He actually he wasn't in a grave, I guess I should say. He was like he buried himself into the ground because that's how they can like cocoon or whatever. Like it keeps them alive. They explain it in Vampire Lestat. They explain all that, like how it keeps him alive, and that's how he starts hearing the earth and the world. And yeah, it's a whole. That's what I'm saying. You should read the books, like if nothing else, because it's a whole universe of
Plethora of information.
awesomeness. Yeah, my brother loved those books.
Is the book in Audible?
Oh yeah, all of them are. I'm pretty sure all of them are. I just downloaded an Interview with the Vampire, I think.
On Audible?
Like a while ago. I think
Also,
I have it on my phone.
If you never used Audible, you can use it now for 30 days for free.
You can?
Absolutely.
That is great to know.
Just use the code Late Night Tea.
Oh, wishful thinking. Oh.
If that doesn't work, I'm gonna be pissed.
We'll get there, guys. We're gonna get to that point eventually.
Use it down the road.
Yeah. Eventually we'll get there.
Write it on a piece of paper. Stick in your desk.
All right,
We'll let
so
you-
there you have 1994. I just want to say thank you, Jay Scott, for joining us.
For real.
today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was
Yeah.
fun. It was a
So
lot
much
of
fun.
We can do this every day.
Again, I'm ChicasMan.
And this is Lexi Diamond. And Jay.
Tune in tomorrow for 1995.
Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends.
Yeah, subscribe below.
If nothing else, at least give me some views on my video that no one's watched yet.
Which is what... Oh, I watched it. Excuse me.
Yay!
Is Death Becomes Her, right?
Yeah.
I watched it, bitch.
It was cute.
Damn.
One of my favorite movies ever.
It took me a second to realize you had your shirt on backwards. I was like, why is that shirt on? That's really weird. Oh, your ass. Oh, it's backwards. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good. You know, I think I've only ever seen that movie once.
I'm obsessed
My
with that
entire
movie.
life. There's a lot of
Flaccid. I quote that movie all the time. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Right,
Bye.
bye.